Namaste. Aloha. Welcome to the Srimad Bhagavatam class. My name is Janapati Das. Please accept my respects, everyone. Please let me offer my obeisances to my spiritual master, Jagaguru Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa Srila Prabhupada, and to His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. We are going to continue with Canto 1, Chapter 1, and in the questions by the sages. We're going to continue with that. It's been a few weeks or more since the last class, so first we're going to chant, though, so please join along. Namo Siddha Swarupananda Paramamsa Namine Godakaru Swarupaya Radha Krishna Prishtayate Namo Siddha Swarupananda Paramamsa Namine Godakaru Swarupaya Radha Krishna Prishtayate Asha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasudeva Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Asha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasudeva Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Bol Nitai Gaur Nitai Gaur Hare Bol Hare Bol Nitai Gaur Nitai Gaur Hare Bol Nitai Gaur Nitai Gaur Hare Bol Hare Bol Nitai Gaur Nitai Gaur Hare Bol Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jaya Srila Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Srila Prabhupada. Haribo. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. I was born in the darkness, ignorance. My spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. So, continuing, Canto 1, Chapter 1, Text 20, we had just come out of some purports. The sages at Naimisharanya are asking Sutta Goswami, and Sutta Goswami, of course, was the son of Ramashan. We remember from the Krishna book, his father had been killed by Balaram, and he had been installed as the head spiritual master, right? The head Brahmana. And so a lot of what this first part is about is we are in a very special place being in a human form of life. We have the capability of not just most animals eating, sleeping, mating, defending, but we also have the capacity to inquire about our spiritual life, about what the meaning of life is. And instead of doing that, a lot of people actually waste their time doing not important things that actually are a waste of time and waste of the human form of life. But the sages of Naimisharanya, they set the example for us as devotees of God, devotees of Krishna, to be using our time wisely to inquiring into the absolute truth. In a lot of the verses that we're talking about, they're asking them to narrate the transcendental pastimes of Krishna's incarnations. And a verse previously in 19, we never tire of hearing the transcendental pastimes of the personality of Godhead, who is glorified by hymns and prayers. Those who have developed a taste for transcendental relationship with him relish hearing of his pastimes at every moment. So that's reflective of, in the Bhagavad Gita, where it states that, I can't remember off the top of my head, but basically the devotees of Krishna enjoy talking about Krishna with each other, talking about spiritual life with each other, associating in such a way. And this is a great way. It's not only a great way to, a transcendental, obviously, way, the right way to be engaging with people, but it's also a way to heal society. We want to socialize, we want to talk story, we want to socialize, and we want to have like a ohana kind of like community is the word I'm thinking of, but we have no real common transcendental, sometimes there are common things like culture, sex, like of the women's groups or whatever. But beyond the body, transcendental to the body, transcendental, which unifies everyone because everyone is a spirit soul, is the Jivatma, and a way to engage with Krishna as the center. And so this is what the sages of Naimisharanya were doing for a long time. They were engaging in transcendental, and they actually enjoy it very much. They enjoy it. So text 20, Kritavan kila karmani saharamena keshavaha ati martyani bhagavan gujya kapata manusha. Kritavan, done by, kila, what, karmani, acts, saha, along with, ramena, Balaram, Keshava, Sri Krishna, ati martyani, superhuman, Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead, Guja, Mastas, Kapata, apparently, Manusha, human being. And so it's actually very interesting because the Bhagavan, which is in the text Bhagavad Gita, right? When we talk about Bhagavan, we talk about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. And was a very interesting thing. Somebody had commented on my page and referenced the Bhagavad Gita and said, what does Krishna have to do anything with the Gita? Later, I had heard my spiritual master talk about, impersonalists who just like to refer to the Bhagavad Gita as the Gita because they want to take Krishna out of the even though Krishna is the center of the meaning of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is the center of the reality. So it is all about Krishna, actually. It's not just a story, it's not just some kind of made up thing, it's reality. It is reality. Because Bhagavad Gita is a song of God, and if you have a song, you need a singer. So even all the other Gitas that are in the Vedic scriptures, and there are different kinds of Gitas. Uddhava Gita, I have a copy of that as well, which Uddhava is the singer. Bhagavad Gita, so if you have a song, it doesn't sing itself. You need a singer, and the singer of this is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Bhagavan is the Personality of Godhead. In this translation, text 20, Lord Sri Krishna, the Personality of Godhead, along with Balaram, played like a human being, and so masked he performed many superhuman acts. Yeah, in fact, a lot of people who were associating with him didn't know he was the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Through his Yoga Maya, he actually made that so with his devotees, where he could play like just a little boy or friends, or if it was with the gopis, paramours, and be the child of Yasoda, and this is a transcendental relationships going on, but they're not like, ooh, it's God, but it is. The purport by Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. The doctrines of anthropomorphism and zoomorphism are never applicable to Sri Krishna or the Personality of Godhead. So we're going to be going into the Srimad Bhagavatam and the different incarnations, and people are like, oh, that's an anthropomorphism because he comes as animals and other cultures have animals. No, the Supreme Personality of Godhead can take on any form he wishes to take on. It's not, and it's transcendental. It's not anthropomorphism or zoomorphism, because that's a completely different thing. The theory that a man becomes God by dint of penance and austerity is very much rampant nowadays, especially in India. Since Lord Rama, Lord Krishna, and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu were detected by the sages and saints to be the Personality of Godhead as indicated in revealed scriptures, many unscrupulous men have created their own incarnations. This process of concocting an incarnation of God has become an ordinary business, especially in Bengal. Any popular personality with a few traits of mystic power will display some feat of jugglery and easily become an incarnation of Godhead by popular vote. Another lecture my spiritual master was talking about with these kind of so-called gurus. They're not really gurus. They're impersonalist scam artists. So, like Satya Sai Baba and Maharishi, different kinds of so-called people that have come on the main popular stage. But Satya Sai Baba had some ability to kind of create a mystical, whatever little thing he could do and make things just pull out things, and people are like, oh, he's God, because he can temporarily have some little mystic powers that he can, but can he actually, as Bhaktivedanta would call Satya Sai Baba, this is Krishna? He's not beautiful like Krishna, he's a woolly bear. Satya Sai Baba was so ugly. He was like ugly inside and outside. He was a demon, and anybody who tries to pretend that they're Krishna and put their head on Krishna's body is a demon, Krishna is Krishna, not Satya Sai Baba or anyone. Any guru that so-called says he's God you have to be wary of, or like an incarnation of some Jesus Christ. You know, there's plenty of these people out there, and they end up usually, because they're scam artists, they may even in their mind believe that they are those things, but they usually get caught up in either sleeping around with their disciples or abusing their disciples. A pure lover of Krishna will never abuse their disciples, will never exploit their disciples. So you can tell that by the fruits. You can tell who they are. This process of concocting an incarnation of God has become an ordinary business, especially in Bengal. Okay, Lord Sri Krishna was not that type of incarnation. He was actually, he was actually the personality of Godhead from the very beginning of his appearance. He appeared before his so-called mother as a four-armed Vishnu. Then at the request of the mother, he became like a human child, and at once left her for another devotee at Gokula, where he was accepted as the son of Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda Mata. Similarly, Sri Baladev, the counterpart of Lord Sri Krishna, was also considered a human child, born of another wife of Sri Vasudev. In Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that his birth and deeds are transcendental, and that anyone who is so fortunate as to know the transcendental nature of his birth and deeds will at once become liberated and eligible to return to the kingdom of God. So knowledge of the transcendental nature of the birth and deeds of Lord Sri Krishna is sufficient for liberation. In the Bhagavatam, the transcendental nature of the Lord is described in 9 cantos, and in the 10th canto, his specific pastimes are taken up. All this becomes known as one's reading of this literature progresses. So Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada made the point of making sure that you're reading from the beginning of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And once again, the Srimad Bhagavatam is the Bhagavatam. It's got Krishna. We're talking about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sri Krishna, Sri Vasudev. You know, Krishna has many names. So it is Krishna. And this are the pastimes of Krishna and his incarnations and his devotees and whatnot. It is important to note here, however, that the Lord exhibited his divinity even from the lap of his mother, that his deeds are all superhuman. He lifted Govardhan Hill at the age of 7. So I like to see the so-called impersonalist gurus just go out and lift the Kolals mountains over there, or, you know, go lift up a volcano with your pinky, you know, just to show your godness, your supremeness. You know, you want to call yourself God? Let's see what you can do. And that all these acts definitely prove him to be actually the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Krishna's inconceivable potencies, he didn't really need to use his finger. He could have just done it and gone off to do something else, you know, and lifted that hill, and it would have happened, because all of his energies, you know, he's in control of all of his energies. But he liked to have that pastime, you know, like to give people the impression that he was actually lifting it. It's very sweet. Yet, due to his mystic covering, he was always accepted as an ordinary human child by his so-called father and mother and other relatives. That's the relationship, the rasas that Krishna wants to have with his devotees. Whenever some Herculean task was performed by him, the father and mother took it otherwise, and they remained satisfied with unflinching filial love for their son. As such, the sages of Naimisharanya describe him as apparently resembling a human being, but actually he is the Supreme Almighty Personality of Godhead. Once again, Bhaktivedanta makes it very clear. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is Bhagavan. Text 21. Kalim agatam aganaya kashetrasmin vaishnave vayam ashina dirga shatrena katayam shakshana hare. Kalim, the age of Kali, from iron age of quarrel, which the one we're in right now, Agatam, having arrived, Aganaya, knowing this, Kshetra, in this tract of land, Ashmin, in this, Vaishnave, especially meant for the devotee of the Lord, Vayam, we, Ashinaha, seated, Dirga, prolonged, Satrena, for performance of sacrifices, Katayam, in the words of Shakshana, with time at our disposal, Hari, of the personality of Godhead. Knowing well that the age of Kali had already begun, we are assembled here in this holy place to hear at great length the transcendental message of Godhead, in this way perform sacrifice. So the age of Kali had begun, and boy, it gets really worse, but it lays the track for Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to come and give us the performance of sacrifice, because they were still, they had not yet, Lord Chaitanya had not yet appeared, so there was not a Harinama Sankirtan Yajna yet, the sacrifice of the holy names, of chanting the holy names. So they were performing sacrifices, they were talking about Krishna, doing fire sacrifices still. This age of Kali is not at all suitable for self-realization, as was Satya Yuga, the golden age, or Treta or Dwarpana Yugas, the silver or copper ages. For self-realization, the people in Satya Yuga, living a lifetime of 100,000 years, were able to perform prolonged meditation. In the Treta Yuga, where the duration of life was 10,000 years, self-realization was attained by performance of great sacrifice. And in the Dwarpana Yuga, when the duration of life was 1,000 years, self-realization was attained by worship of the Lord. But in the Kali Yuga, the maximum duration of life being 100 years only, and that combined with various difficulties, the recommended process of self-realization is that of hearing and chanting of the holy names, fame, and pastimes of the Lord. The sages of Naimisharanya began this process in a place meant specifically for the devotees of the Lord. They prepared themselves to hear the pastimes of the Lord for over a period of 1,000 years. By the example of these sages, one should learn that regular hearing and recitation of the Bhagavatam is the only way for self-realization. Other attempts are simply a waste of time, for they do not give any tangible results. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu preached the system of Bhagavad Dharma, and he recommended that all those who were born in India should take the responsibility of broadcasting messages of Lord Sri Krishna, primarily the message of Bhagavad Gita. And when one is well established in the teachings of Bhagavad Gita, he can take up the study of Srimad Bhagavatam for further enlightenment and self-realization. So because of the mercy of Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who followed the instructions of Bhaktisiddhanta to bring the hearing and chanting of Krishna's names to the West, he spread Lord Chaitanya's mission across the globe. And here we are, we're doing videos, whereas without Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada and his mission and his determination to give people Krishna, I don't know what I'd be doing. I'd just be not even whatever, just fully engaged in materialistic life. So we offer our respectful obeisances and gratitude to Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada for the hard work and determination of bringing people Krishna, and we're very grateful. Text 22, Tvam Naha Sadar Shito Datra Dusram Nishiti Til Shatam Kalim Satvam Haram Pumsham Karna Dara Ivarnavam. Tvam, your goodness, Naha, unto us, Sadar Shitaha, meeting, Datra, by providence, Dushtaram, insurmountable, Nishtit Til Shatam, big words, for those desiring to cross over, Kalim, the age of Kali, Sattva Haram, that which deteriorates the good qualities, Pumsha, of a man, Karnadara, captain, Iva, as Arnavam, the ocean. Translation, text 22. We think that we have met your goodness by the will of providence, just so that we may accept you as the captain of the ship for those who desire to cross the difficult ocean of Kali, which deteriorates all the good qualities of a human being. So our spiritual master is the captain of our ship, and that's what Tusta Krishna Das actually referred to Srila Prabhupada as the captain of our ship. We need a very good captain to navigate through the waters of the material world. The age of Kali is very dangerous for the human being. I love that sentence. Yes, dangerous at every step. Very dangerous. Not just physically, but mentally, spiritually. Everything about Kali Yuga is used to be that, when we can even see within Kali Yuga the digression of religiosity in this world, where the things in this material world where sinfulness and lust becomes normalized, and those people who try to protest against it, to say that that's not the way we've done it for thousands of years, all of a sudden people can, decide that they want to change their sex or whatever, it's like, this is the way we've been doing for thousands of years in society, and now society is becoming deteriorated because people, because of the progression of Kali Yuga. It's very dangerous, and you can catch yourself being like, oh, I gotta go along with these people because that's the way, back then was backwards, and now we're like progressive. Like progressively going over the waterfall. That's what we're doing. The age of Kali is very dangerous for the human being. Human life is simply meant for self-realization, but due to this dangerous age, men have completely forgotten the aim of life. Yeah, it's dangerous because our purpose of being in the human form of life is to come to know who we are, what our purpose is, and what our relationship to Krishna is, to know Krishna consciousness. And if we're not doing that, it's very dangerous, because we'll be thrown back into the material pool, maybe not necessarily as a human again. 8,400,000 species of life. In this age, the lifespan will gradually decrease. So we could see that people were living much longer lives in previous ages. Their memory was stronger, their spiritual devotion was much stronger, and as the yugas progressed, these became less and less. And there's actually a story in here about Kali and King Parikshit coming across him, cutting off the legs of a cow. And that has to do with the progression of Kali Yuga. People will gradually lose their memory, finer sentiment, strength, and better qualities. You can see this even within 100 years' time, 50 years' time. The way that educated people, for the first time, for example, this generation is the first generation in U.S. history to be actually have lower IQ than the generation before. Generally, generations come along, the new technologies come along, they embrace them, they integrate them, they learn more knowledge, they are able to apply things at a greater ability than the previous age. Not so with this current. They've actually, and I can attest to that. The interest in learning and being educated among young people is, diminishing, and I can see that for sure, as being a teacher. Finer sentiment, strength, and better qualities. Yeah, people are becoming more degraded, more violent, more animalistic. A list of anomalies for this age is given in the 12th canto of this work. And so this age is very difficult for those who want to utilize this life for self-realization. Well, fortunately, Lord Chaitanya gave us a very easy process in this age, which is very attractive. So we don't have to meditate for very long periods of time. We don't need to engage in complex fire sacrifices or anything like that. We just chant Krishna's names, eat prasadam. The people are so busy with sense gratification that they completely forget about self-realization. Out of madness, they frankly say that there is no need for self-realization because they do not realize that this brief life is but a moment on our great journey towards self-realization. The whole system of education is geared to sense gratification, which is true. There's nothing about self-realization in education. And if a learned man thinks it over, he sees that the children of this age are being intentionally sent to the slaughterhouse of so-called education. Slaughterhouses of so-called education. Learned men, therefore, must be cautious of this age, and if they want at all to cross over the dangerous ocean of Kali, they must follow the footsteps of the sages of Naimisharanya and accept Sri Shuta Goswami or his bona fide representative as the captain of the ship. The ship is the message of Lord Sri Krishna in the shape of Bhagavad Gita or the Srimad Bhagavatam. Once again, to my friend who sent the message, listen to what is being said here. The ship is the message of Lord Sri Krishna in the shape of Bhagavad Gita or the Srimad Bhagavatam. So we can take the messages, and the message is very clear when we put aside our own speculations. We listen, we consider, we chant Krishna's names, and the realization comes from our heart, and we see it very clearly in front of us. So, text 23. Brahi Yogeshvare Krishne Brahmanye Dharma Varmani Svam Kashtam Adhunopete Dharmanam Kam Sharanam Gata. Brahi, please tell Yogeshvare, the Lord of all mystic power, Krishna, Lord Krishna, Brahmanaye, the absolute truth, Dharma, religion. Varmani, protector, Svam, my own, Kashtam, abode, Adhuna, nowadays, Upete, having gone away, Dharmana, Dharmaha, religion, Kam, unto whom, Sharanam, shelter, Gataha, gone. Translation, since Sri Krishna, the absolute truth, the master of all mystic powers, has departed for his own abode, please tell us to whom the religious principles have now gone for shelter. So this is a very interesting point, because in the Srimad Bhagavatam, it doesn't really, it's not like, it kind of jumps around a lot, actually. The storyline jumps around a lot, but it's like, it becomes stories and stories and stories. So we have Sri Shuta Goswami and the Naimisharanyas, sages, and then we have, them telling about pastimes, and then those people telling about other pastimes, and so there are these stories and stories and stories. It's pretty amazing to just watch this unfold as you read through the Srimad Bhagavatam. So at this particular part of the story, the battle of Kurukshetra had already happened. So many Kshatriyas had been killed, millions and millions and millions, 640 million to be an exact count. And Sri Krishna left the planet. So he went back to the spiritual world. And so that was saying the master of all mystic powers had. So please tell us to whom the religious principles have now gone for shelter. So that's a very important point. What now that Krishna is gone, who is carrying the spiritual lineage back, forward, right? Essential religion is prescribed codes enunciated by the personality of Godhead himself. Whenever there is a gross misuse or neglect of the religious principles of religion, the Supreme Lord appears himself to restore religious principles. So even in our disciplic lineage, my spiritual master had a spiritual master, Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada had a spiritual master, Bhakti Siddhanta. And if you look at the front of the Bhagavad Gita, as it is, there is a lineage, or the Gaudiya Sampradaya lineage, and it goes all the way back to Krishna. Krishna is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead. He imparted the knowledge to Brahma originally, and he is constantly imparting the knowledge. And the truth, the absolute truth, is constantly being shared throughout the different universes. This is stated in Bhagavad Gita. Here the sages of Naimisharanya are inquiring about these principles. The reply to this question is given later. Okay, so that's very interesting. The Srimad Bhagavatam, we'll wait for the end of that. So we're going to remember, I'm going to read that question again. Since Sri Krishna, the absolute truth, the master of all mystic powers, has departed for his own abode, please tell us to whom the religious principles have now gone for shelter. So we'll remember that. So when they answer it, or he answers it, we'll find out. To reply to this question is given. The reply to the question is given later. The Srimad Bhagavatam is a transcendental sound representation of the personality of Godhead, and thus it is the full representation of transcendental knowledge and religious principles. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the first canto, first chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Questions by the Sages. Okay, so chapter 2, it's a very pretty long one. Let's see. Maybe we will probably end it there. And next time we'll read through chapter 2. It's entitled Divinity and Divine Service. So, and Shuta Goswami will start to respond to the sages of Naimisharanya. So, thank you very much. Let's chant a little bit and call it a day. That's Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Srila Prabhupada. Haribol, thank you very much. See you next time.